For April the 4th, 2025, we talk about The Forever Winter, Void Crew, LoneStar, and much more. Welcome to Level 538. My name is Kole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm Moxie.
I'm Ben Merkel.
And you're listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Ben, now that you've said that your girlfriend laughed at the cadence, the way that you say your name.
I should have brought that up at a different time besides right before we do that section of the show.
You could detox from that knowledge.
Yeah, it's hard not to laugh. I don't think there's anything inherently ridiculous that we all have our own little melody that we use.
Mm-hmm.
But it is hard not to laugh after it is pointed out. Dang. Welcome. We're back. It is the night before the Nintendo Direct, where they're going to give us details and open up pre-orders on the Switch 2. It is the week of the Midwest Gaming Classic. I'm getting ready to go up to Milwaukee. It's a big week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or it's right before it becomes a big week. It's kind of looking for news stories. It was like, oh yeah, the big week hasn't happened yet. Oh no.
and as you're listening on the other side of this, you're like, man, it's been a big week.
Yeah. Just letting you know.
So this is going to be a dumb thing because I don't have a news story, but you could have just picked one of the random April Fool's Day stories.
I mean, that.
I didn't because I'm lazy, but
no, I didn't know. I'm over it. I don't like the April Fool. It was fun back in 2004 when ThinkGeek did it, but yeah.
When the world just didn't make you angry at every turn,
when everything wasn't fake and also a joke. Yeah.
I do need to see if my favorite and. No, it does not look like they did this year is the Warframe subreddit and the Destiny subreddit, swapping all of their art and backgrounds and stuff.
Yeah, a couple of sites that I go to, they switched to Comic Sans, which is a milder version of it. But I don't know, there's something about the hoax stories that bugs me. Gets under my skin.
It's gotten a little too marketing-y.
Yeah.
Back in my day, we just celebrate April Fools with the family around the Fool's Tree.
Yeah. GamePro magazine had a little section inside their magazine called Lame Pro where they had parody stories. It was fun.
Mm-hmm. I guess what I'm saying is I liked being a kid.
Yeah, no.
Oh, yeah.
Being a
kid's awesome.
Yeah.
Don't become an adult.
No, I was about to say if you can help it, but that's really dark.
No.
Let's
move on from that.
Yeah, no, that's not even what I meant. That's just that's just my that's the little macro phrase that comes up whenever somebody says "don't blank." Yeah. Ben, what you been up to?
I was going to call out. I went and saw Mickey 17 last week.
Ooh,
it was
how is it?
It was the final week that it was showing at a theater downtown. That's a nicer one, but it's the movie from the director of Parasite, and it's taken a while to make. I think it was Paramount or Warner Brothers that made it. I think it was Warner Brothers, the one that makes continually bad decisions, and they managed to not completely mess it up this time, even though there was an issue where they weren't giving the director final cut.
I remember
talking about this came up on the show before.
I don't know if that got resolved or not, but the final movie was pretty good, or at least I enjoyed it. Generated a good amount of conversation over kind of what the themes of the movie were. Some of it is super on the nose, where it's Mark Ruffalo doing a Trump impression, but I think there's other parts to it that are kind of more interesting and nuanced than that, though. So I enjoyed it. Worth a watch.
It's difficult for me to admit this. I didn't know that was a new Bong Joon-ho movie. So when I saw people talking about Mickey 17, what I thought was people were going to see like the first of those Steamboat Willie movies that came out after Mickey Mouse entered the public domain.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now that would have been a good April Fool's joke.
I don't know, but just for some reason that's that's what stuck out of my head. So now I need to, I don't know, not go back and find those takes, but maybe I don't know.
Got to do some memory
You said it was
scrubbing.
the last weekend it was playing at the theater near you. I guess I hadn't been aware for how long it had been out, because I knew of it and was like, when I see that that's out, I'll like make time to go and see it. And I just have not seen that it's out yet. So
I guess
marketing team failed me.
Well, for more context, I think it's only been out like maybe like 3 weeks or so, and the theater we went to, it's like a one-screen theater, so they they kind of got to move things along. But so I think it's probably still out in theaters. But then also like another thing that was kind of in the zeitgeist is it's like already on streaming, like either now or at the time of this episode release or within a week of that. So it's a very quick turnaround time, and so that kind of sparked conversations around that as far as like why, or is that a good thing or a bad thing? And I don't know.
Yeah,
seems weird, but I don't know. I can get people not wanting to go to the theater though, so I can kind of understand it. But yeah,
nice. Let's see, Moxie. How about you? There are some photos in the backstage on the Slack that imply you had an eventful weekend.
Yeah. So over the weekend was peak bloom for the cherry blossoms here in DC, which is quite possibly the most ridiculous way to talk about cherry blossoms you possibly could come up with.
Peak bloom.
Yeah, like I know that just sounds like it should be like some action hero like yelling about like, there's no time. We've only got 30 minutes until peak bloom.
Go, leave me behind. Peak bloom is about to happen.
Exactly. Yeah. But tons of just beautiful cherry trees. I don't know. It's really crazy just kind of being among the cherry trees and see just like, it is hard to explain. Just like everything, everywhere you look, there being, hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of, just these tiny, beautiful flowers. Mm-hmm. It's really weird seeing, seeing like, when there's a breeze and, petals will kind of fall picturesquely, through the air. It's like, I thought that was just an anime thing.
Sounds hella magical, bro. I'm trying to find a way to sound like, every spring is fucking enchanted.
Yeah. Pretty much. It also helps that this is like a city that was literally engineered to have like profound views.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So it's super easy to be like, here's all these awesome cherry blossoms that happen to be framing the Washington Monument, or like, here's a giant statue of MLK next to like a poignant symbol for rebirth and hope in the future.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that. So that was really cool. A lot of fun, ton of people out seeing it. And then on Monday was Trans Day of Visibility. So there's a big rally on the mall, National Mall, and tons of people showed out. I think they estimate about 1,000 people showed up. Mm-hmm. And there were, I don't know, somewhere around a dozen Congress people, senators and House people that spoke at the rally. I think the coolest was Sarah McBride spoke, who's the first openly trans person in Congress.
Yeah.
So just, that was a, really cool experience. Was, a lot of fun. So
Yeah. I'm envious. Yeah. No, just Dennis went to the UC protest. You got to go to this. There's nothing around me. I have to drive.
We'll get you a protest. Don't worry.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you want to go throw rocks at a Tesla dealership? What's the closest Tesla?
I think even just by saying that, we're going to be deported. So
No.
I need to figure out, like, I don't know. I've mixed feelings on the whole, like the people vandalizing cars, but the part of me that just is a chaos goblin kind of wants to know if Cybertrucks are magnetic. Could you simply like drive past and like chuck various embarrassing magnets on the side?
they're stainless steel, so I imagine they are magnetic. I don't know.
So I just like the idea of like, I don't know, even if you're not doing something like, not destructive, but what if you just covered it with those refrigerator magnets that just the like colorful letters that kids use to do things, or
Yeah.
or like, I don't know,
what you do. You get a little jelly, and you put the jelly up under the handle to open it.
They don't have handles. They have a little. They have like a little touch bar thing.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
my
like
move, and-
one of the many design flaws, though, is then like people will get trapped inside,
Yeah.
and like no one can get them out.
Yeah. You could throw magnets at them. I would prefer to thwip craft singles at them like ninja stars.
I'm also
people are literally doing that in Seattle.
Are
Right?
they?
Yeah.
Good. I knew I liked Seattle.
I'll try and find a subreddit post about it. But yeah.
All right.
the other idea I had is like, I bet I could special order some of that magnetic poetry that was just the word twat over and over again.
Yeah. I mean, in lieu of anything that could get you prosecuted, my tactic, because there's a surprising number of Teslas around where I live, and whenever I see one, I just give a thumbs down for as long as it's in sight.
Yeah, unlike
Have you
Teslas
heard
where
of
it's
the-
like maybe they bought it before he went crazy.
Yeah.
Cybertrucks, it's like, nah, that was always a bad
Wanted this.
idea.
Yeah. What'd you say, Dennis?
I was just saying, have you heard of the Mansfield thumbs downer?
It wasn't
Local
even
legend.
It wasn't even my like I'm not going to say it was my idea. I think I read somewhere just like, oh yeah, that's way more devastating than than flipping a bird. Just the thumbs down, just a mark of solemn disapproval instead of an aggressive and crude gesture.
Historically,
like-
a thumbs down is much more devastating.
Yeah. But I'm not.
ramifications
That's
are
just
a lot
like
higher.
I've heard apparently the new strategy among like progressive Christians when hyper fundamentalists like do or whatever is just to be like, oh, I'll pray that God will grant you more empathy.
Yeah, it is a universal throughout the country. Bless your heart.
Yes, exactly.
Nice. So it sounds like you had a good weekend.
Yeah, I had a real good time.
Dennis, how about you?
Oh man, nothing too crazy. I was talking earlier about how I was very, very sweaty just from cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're in that time of year where the temperature is right, that like bending over at slightly more than 20 degrees will cause my body to be like, oh, we're going. All right. Yes, here we go.
Yeah.
Full sweat mode.
It's a perennial
that's fun.
issue. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, I'm doing a bunch
But,
of spring cleaning because I don't know, just cause, and also doing like rearranging, and I got rid of my big wall of shelves in favor of some smaller shelves that still hold a lot, but they're like spinny shelf things. And so that involved a few times picking
Wait.
up and moving every book that I own.
Yeah,
what
I'm pretty
direction
sure this
do they
isn't
spin?
what you mean, but I'm just imagining like those things they have in comic shops with the like spinny for the comics.
The spinning things. And Dennis, no, isn't. It's not like a spinning bookcase, like like Young Frankenstein.
Okay, that would have been cool though.
No, it's kind of similar to like the library rack, the wire rack things. It's just made out of wood and holds a shitload of books. Yeah.
Okay.
But smaller footprint, which is nice. So, living room's a little bit more open, so I am sympathetic to your plight.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And,
How do the cats like a new thing that spins?
They can't really spin it because it's very heavy because I have a lot of books.
Okay.
Yeah. Or spin them. There are two of them. 2 cats, 2 shelves. But yeah. What else besides cleaning and sweating does?
Oh no, there is nothing else. I am a sweat elemental.
Yeah. Oh man. At a certain point,
I just always look like I just finished working out.
yeah. At a certain point, you just have to accept, like, maybe I'm just a person who takes like 2 showers, like one thorough one in the morning, and then just like a spray off.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They just need one of those like industrial strength car drying blowers at the door to my house. I'll walk in, and just clean me off.
Cool. Yeah, and I threw mine in there. I threw my check-in in there a little bit, getting ready for Milwaukee and doing cleaning as well. So
it's a little stealth combo check-in.
yeah. I think we should talk about video games, and to do that, we need to do the regular kind of show: what with the grind, the multiplayer, and the end boss. And why don't we get started with
the grind?
The grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the past period of time or so. Who has something new?
Oh, this is awkward.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll go. I will go. Over the weekend, I streamed a game that is not like brand new. I think it came out in early access a year or so ago, something like that. Have you all heard of The Forever Winter?
Oh yeah,
I've heard of it from watching your stream.
Yeah. Yeah. So like this hit early access, in September of 2024. So it's not like incredibly new, but still recent-ish. This is not strictly a horror game, though it is marketed as such, and the visual style and design specifically is referencing a very popular artist who does horrific paintings, or did. He passed away, Zdzisław Beksinski. This is the guy whose visual style informed the game Scorn, along with H.R. Giger.
He's also like the cover of most of the like H.P. Lovecraft books for a long while. They used his stuff.
Yeah. I'll link to like some images of his. But yeah, real big on like, decrepit landscapes and huge kind of cyclopean things with fucked up kind of desiccated, dried out dudes hanging around. Yeah. So what this is it is an extraction shooter. I thought that I had never played one of these, but it turns out Helldivers kind of is one of them.
Yeah. Oh, it totally counts.
Yeah.
See, I would say I feel like for it to be an extraction shooter, you have to be able to you have to be gathering loot that you'll lose and like bringing in loot that you'll lose.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just me.
Like it is an extraction shooter on the micro level, not on the macro level.
Yeah.
I know. Like I'm not the king of extraction shooters who like declares what is and is not extraction shooter. I didn't get hired for that job. They're very, very selective.
No, you're the Duke of that.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, though, with like Tarkov, there's more on the line versus something like Deep Rock Galactic, where it's like all gravy.
Yeah. So when I think of extraction shooter, I think of Tarkov, right? Where like you are going into a location specifically to take what you can and then get out. And then it's like a cyclical like upgrading process between these. The thing that makes this like not just straight up a shooter kind of deal, like it does play like a third person shooter. is that you are not a soldier in this. There's a war going on. Like the world has been ended by this conflict between kind of the three major forces that has kind of devolved into this forever war that is run by AIs that are just sending people out to die senselessly while, people are trapped on the planet because of like space debris. And nothing is habitable. You're a scavenger who lives in kind of the sewers and tunnel networks beneath. I think it's like the ruins of Los Angeles. It's called in the game. It's called the Innards, which is fun. You're a scavenger who is going out and trying to find water primarily. But also like doing missions that are like, recover XYZ, of this particular item, kill this number of people from this faction, etc. Doing quests to gain faction kind of favor. Also like getting loot that you can sell for money in order to get better weapons than like the surplus ones that you can start out with by default.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Good.
I was gonna say that sounds cool. Maybe I shouldn't be Google image searching Beksinski right now and trauma inducing myself. But
yeah, I put a link. I fucking love this guy. I loved him even before he was like super popular. Like I learned about him on the Something Awful forums. Like I don't know. I'm doing hipsterism, but for art. I'll link my favorite one in the chat just so you can get a
what
sense
is art for if not hipsterism?
I guess, but yeah, just his style has been like super popular in horror games over the past like 10 years. I would say there's my
surprising amount of color in it.
Yeah.
From your description. Now that I'm looking at it.
Yeah. I linked my favorite one. It's like these huge pillars that stretch off into the distance, and on top of each one is a bunch of like little figures who are huddled around individual campfires. Love that. But yeah. So like, what's neat about this is I think that they may have been inspired by the stealth in specifically Metal Gear Solid 4. Which, when it was interested in being a stealth game, had this super interesting idea, at least in the first two acts, where you are trying to get through a battlefield, like where it's impossible to like remain unseen, but it is possible to remain beneath notice, if that makes any sense. Where like, as long as you are not the biggest threat in an individual situation with whatever dynamic is present, then people are just going to be like, I don't know, I got bigger problems right now, and focus on the fight. So like in this, you die super quickly. You can upgrade your big like Death Stranding loot pack if you want to, in order to gain a little bit more damage resistance, but it is not meant to be a situation where you are, gunning. This is like a multiplayer co-op game. But I was playing it alone. And even if you have a bunch of friends with you, you're going to be melted really quickly. So like you're kind of like running around going for loot and trying to get into these little installations, maybe like vulturing stuff off of dead bodies. But like if you start firing on things, or even if you're carrying around a big enough weapon, people will start like, oh, wait a minute. And then you can kind of see their little suspicion meter go up, and then they'll start coming after you. And this is in addition to like one of the factions has these like cyborg things that are basically like Terminator looking things. But they have living bodies inside that are screaming because their bodies are moving against their will. They've been cyborgified. They're screaming and they're conscious, but they can't stop themselves from running straight into gunfire.
Are they screaming, "I'll be back"?
No. They're just kind of yelling. Like those things will always run at you. And they swarm. Also, there are like bombers, like stealth bombers that strafe the area doing bombing runs at these guys. So it looks like they're dropping a bunch of corpses onto the battlefield.
Oh no.
And then they get up and start like charging at you. It's real grim.
Yep.
Jeez.
Yeah.
It's interesting that the game design sounds as punishing as the art does as well.
Yeah, it's real hard. It took me a while to get my feet under me. Something happened, which is cool when it happens on Twitch. Like there was just a big fan of the game who was trawling for people streaming the game, and like was in there like not just giving tips because that can be a little bit annoying, but asking if I wanted them. And also they used my like username to like gift me some water. So I, could like,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So I could get into,
Which also is like a super grim sentence.
yes. Yeah. So, this is something. So I'm playing it at this point where they kind of changed the water system. Previously, like water was a day timer. For like how long you could keep up your keep up the innards, which was like, okay, at least once a day you need to go out and get one water, and if you run out of this, it depletes at a rate of one water per day. If you run out, then your base is raided by water bandits, and suddenly like all of your progress is gone, like all of your hidden stash stuff, aside from like a real limited amount that you can keep in a safe, is taken. And so like all of your upgrades go away, your weapon mods and stuff like that. They got rid of that, and now water is a kind of currency to get into more difficult levels, or like go to more advantageous kind of like drop spots as you align with the different factions, and earning like and getting raided by the water bandits. Like that only happens if you like aggro one of them or fight them when they appear in a level. Which is good that it's no longer like a strict like game over policy kind of deal.
Yeah, it's cool to see people actively improving the way a game works.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Although they that did come with a lore change, because like, okay, well, if the water isn't if the water is now just a currency for going on missions, well, in the story that means that the innards got way more brutal about who could stay there, and so now the only people who live there are people who can go out scavenging. So like they had like an announcement trailer with just like people being just pushed into a big pit because they weren't contributing to the water in the place. So it's like, oh, you want this gameplay change? Well, guess what? World sucks more.
When you mentioned that the water
that is very Helldivers.
Go ahead, Ben.
When you mentioned that the water allows you to go to like more difficult places, is it like higher risk, higher reward type places, or is it just strictly like hard mode on the game?
I believe it's higher risk, higher reward. So like the first area where I spent most of my time is like kind of small, and there's not a lot of like high level loot that will spawn there. Like it's kind of a newbie zone kind of thing. As you start leveling up and getting more powerful, you need to start spending water, not just to go to these more difficult zones to get to complete missions, because that's the primary way you gain money and kind of faction. But higher level loots will be there as well. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've also heard other people I've seen stream it talk about apparently certain levels, like you'll eventually get quests that'll be, for example, to loot from some of the like giant mechas that are walking around. And apparently certain locations are more likely to have those sorts of enemies and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a whole class of enemy that I didn't really run into. Like there are Gundams or armored cores on the battlefield that you really need to ignore because you stand no chance against them. There's like a class of mech that's even bigger than them that you need to really, really stay away from. Sometimes you'll go into a mission and it'll be a night shift mission, which means that it's dark out. One of the factions isn't there, so the remaining faction can dedicate themselves to fighting you and not another army, and also the big mechs are out. Specifically one that, for some reason, and I kind of don't like this, looks like a big anime lady.
Oh, is this the Mother Courage?
Yeah. I don't get it. It looks surreal, but also I don't get it. I never ran into one. I did get a night shift mission, but I was killed before I could even look up. I was not equipped for it. Yeah. This is early access, and it is by no means complete. Like, people in the chat were saying, yeah, this is more like an alpha at this point compared to what it's going to be. And it's definitely uneven, and it's really punishing. And also, it is a kind of game that I don't necessarily play an awful lot of, multiplayer extraction shooter kind of thing, but it's interesting, which is, sounds a little bit like faint praise, but I don't mean it to be.
I mean, you've sold me on it.
Yeah. I would love to see them add even more to the, I don't know what you'd call it, the anti-stealth system. So in that, for example, I would love to see enemies be more likely to go after you if they see you looting bodies of their faction, or I would love to see even situations where if you're not being a threat, they straight up acknowledge you but just wave you away or something.
They say get out of here, not just you would need dialogue or something. Although that would make
get off here, stalker.
Yeah, only one of the enemies, or only one of the factions is American. The other ones, one is Russian coded, the other is China and Japan coded.
Well, it's straight up 1984. It's Eurasia and
it's Europa, East Asia, and Eurasia or something like that. Or no, it's you're I don't know. Europa, Eurasia, and Euruska. It's interesting.
Europa, Eurasia, and Euruska walk into a bar.
Yeah. I think that I might be more interested in the setting than anything, because they're really good at making a pretty fucked up and wild world. And I don't know, going on to the TV tropes was, it was fun to read that. Because a lot of it was stuff you just kind of learn through mission prompts or whatever. I don't know. It kind of seems made for fan work kind of stuff.
Visually,
I could see that.
Another touch point that it reminds me of visually is the Returnal, the second biome, which probably shares the inspiration of Belinsky.
Yeah.
Or Beksinski, sorry.
Mm-hmm. But There's Beksinski and Giger stuff in Returnal for sure. Yeah,
it looks really good art wise.
Mm-hmm.
You got your Beksinski and my Giger.
Yeah, many such cases happens a lot. So that's the Forever Winter. I think it's neat. I'm probably not going to stream more of it until it's a little bit more complete, but yeah.
I like to imagine that the end game, the final thing you scavenge, that's the ultimate thing, is a coat that actually fits.
That's just that character. There are different characters that you can play as that are archetypes.
You gotta have skins.
Yeah. Well, they've got different abilities too, or different loadouts. I stuck with the basic one that they begin you with, the old man. Just because he's the most well-rounded. There are different ones. There's a real quick lady. There's a robot called Gunhead, whose head is a gun.
Nice.
That can't heal himself.
Gun haver.
But
you have a gun.
Yeah, can't heal himself, but he comes with a better gun than you normally start with, and has high defense. Yeah, there are other characters, but yeah, the old man's coat doesn't fit. I don't think that scavengers can be choosers.
No, it also, gives you a deceptively large area to target, so they're more likely to, shoot through the coat instead of hitting you.
No.
Wasting ammunition.
You can't roll out without a baffling silhouette.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's just
I think
science.
Moxie, you and I talked one time about how like the primary component of stealth is just being at a height people don't expect.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing.
That can get you pretty far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Any questions about the Forever Winter?
No, this looks rad.
Yeah. The other game that I played was some Void Crew with you, Dennis.
Yes, indeed.
Nice.
Yeah. I only died because we made a jump when I was not sitting down once.
Yes.
I just the way it happens too is like, all right, we're about to jump here. You're sitting down, right? Wait, what? Splatter.
Yeah. I'm just like, oh wait a minute. And just I see the stars outside start turning into lines, and I'm like, ah. I did say I wanted it to happen at least once because I asked what happens if you do this when you're not sitting down.
It delivered for sure.
Yeah. Dennis has talked about this a lot. This is the game where it's like a multiplayer roguelike kind of deal where the 1 to 4 people, I think, are manning a spaceship going out on missions. One person kind of being the pilot who, maneuvers the ship, but also marks targets and has kind of a bird's eye view of the status of the ship, while everybody else either mans the guns or goes around and does repairs. Like goes outside the ship in order to scavenge or, perform hull repairs, that kind of stuff. Like I said previously in an episode, like this is a very specific fantasy of mine, that I've wanted to see represented in games forever.
How did it hold up?
Oh, it was great. I had a really good time. I was bummed out that your buddy who came along had connection problems, although it did like popping in and out just meant that periodically we would just hear the ship's personality core say, crew member has left, our crew member has entered vacuum without jetpack or something. Because
well, and it's such a, I didn't know that it did this, but apparently if you're having someone with connection problems, it just jettisons them outside the ship. Like, we're not sure where you are, but it's probably in space. So, as I watched him go in and out, I kind of think it might have been that like it first loads you into the game and then places you, and for that moment where you are in the mission but not placed yet, that triggers the voice line. But it was very funny because at least once it happened right as I like hit the brakes or abruptly changed directions. And I just see him fly away. I'm like, what did I do? Like, just didn't know the G-forces were that bad.
yeah, well, they killed me. You should have known.
Well, that's just for the void jumps. That's different.
Okay.
Legally distinct from hyperspace jump. But yeah, that's I would say we had about as much success playing as I usually do, and as much fun as I usually do. In saying, by way of saying, this is a game where you die a lot.
Yeah. It's got
overwhelmed a lot.
It's got that roguelike structure, right? But I was impressed, like, you level up and you can specialize into classes. It feels a little bit like, oh gosh, what's that game? Dwarves Digging, Deep Rock Galactic.
Deep Rock Galactic.
Yeah.
Yes.
In that way. And I was like, just looking at it and I saw a grappling hook. So I was like, oh, that'd be fun. Turns out you get like a super fun, zippy little grappling hook that is perfect for going outside, doing EVAs or whatever. And like just whipping your way over to like ruins, getting back, being able to economize your oxygen better. So that was cool.
Yeah. Eventually that tree gets good enough at being out in space that like if you find a place with like a gun emplacement that's in vacuum, you just kind of hang out there. And as long as you're in the emplacement, you're like fine. Now the problem is the mission variety is such as I've gotten to know kind of the shape of the game. There's not quite enough support for that. Like if you're outside the ship, it's because you're looting and you're probably out of combat. Or because a mission objective has told you to do something and you're just trying to rush through that. And so I would love to see them add some things that like basically encourage you to, I don't know, take like a mini gun pod or something that is outside the ship, or be more able to do repairs while the ship is moving. Because right now, if you go outside the ship, well, I guess with your grappling hook, you'd be okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, if you break contact, you just like immediately fly behind as the ship accelerates in front of you. And it has to swing around to pick you up. But I think there's some more development, and this game is in early access, and they're actively kind of forming it, and they've said stuff like that is coming.
Okay.
The other thing you mentioned, only the pilot kind of has that bird's eye third person view, and they have promised that there are periscopes coming where people inside the ship will be able to get that view looking out.
Yeah. I was thinking more about like just knowing that, okay, the system's energy is low, or, being like, okay, I need just having a HUD that tells you more about it. Cause like, I don't know, you were the one who called out when we needed more boosts, right?
Did you ever actually sit in the pilot chair?
On the tutorial, I did.
Okay. Yeah. You get a lot of information in that view that you don't necessarily get walking around the ship.
Yeah.
And so a lot, like the shields, how many boosts you have, etc. It is kind of the shot caller position.
Yeah.
Which I almost wonder. Go ahead.
Do you think that's a good thing? Because I feel like Lovers and Dangerous Space Time does kind of demonstrate that, at least in theory, it's possible to have a compelling game like this where everyone knows everything.
I kind of wonder what the balance of that is, because one, it is cool to have a specialization.
Sure.
And like when I hop on the guns and hit my special button, things are going to disappear because I have that ability. I think more so with the pilot than any other role, it's like, okay, you're going to sit down, you're going to be in this seat the entire time. The engineer, scavenger, and gunner all kind of do more multitasking, whereas the pilot, they've got a couple different things to do, but they're always going to be up in that chair.
Yeah.
Which, fundamentally you kind of need, but also it could be neat if there was some way to incentivize rotating out even of that.
Yeah. Like locking yourself through progression into one of those does kind of make it seem like, I don't know, you might come to resent your role.
Yeah. Thankfully, they are very generous with the points, and they allow you to have 4 builds at a time, ostensibly 1 for each role or class, I guess you would say. If you're playing solo, you definitely kind of want to dip into a couple different things. Like I could see taking the grappling hook as your main skill and then primarily having pilot and gunner stuff or what have you.
I don't know how fun this would be if I was solo.
It works well until you get to a boss and your AI gunners don't know to target weak points.
Ew.
And the boss encounters, at least that I've seen, I've only gotten to 2. The boss encounters that I've seen have been heavily reliant on like picking out specific weak points.
Yeah.
And like, so maybe even just having like the targeting that the pilot does, be able to highlight weak points would be helpful.
Yeah. Like the most fun that I had was like being one of 2 gunners, as like, okay, the targets were being marked, but like, oh, I saw something that you didn't. And so I could, kind of take care of it. Or it's like, all right, like these targets are marked and they're around, but there's this big emergency that I need to go address. So like, I'm going to find the right time to step away from the guns and go take care of that. Just like kind of trying to keep plate spinning almost.
Yeah. It's like, you've got an enemy fighter down to a sliver of health, but the engine is exploding behind you. So you hop off the gun and yell at your partner to target Alpha while you run down to the engine and put out the fires.
Yeah.
It is a really cool experience.
Yeah. Cause the most fun was when I was on a team or a crew in the void, you see. Yeah.
They did it.
It's not a void crew. It's yeah.
So yeah, I dug it. It's a good game, I think. Yeah.
And we'll see. We've talked in previous weeks, so I won't belabor it. But we'll see if this one versus any one of the other ones coming out that are kind of following this formula kind of holds its own. Hopefully, there's enough space for multiple of them.
I mean, I want to see which one is, more to my taste, right? It's like, oh, okay. Each of these has a different emphasis, and yeah,
Yes, indeed.
what are the new ones going to be? Yeah, my curiosity is definitely piqued about the genre, I guess.
Yeah, I wonder if like technologically this is intensive in a way that we've crossed some kind of threshold that means everyone can make it, or it's just someone had the idea and a lot of people are fast following.
It might just be in the water. Also, like it's been a few years since like that Star Trek Bridge Crew or whatever VR game was out.
Yeah.
I mean, I know like Puzzle Pirates had this when I was in high school, so
so that's me. Dennis, since we played that together, I might alley up over to you.
Yeah, you're not going to get much more, unfortunately. I've been playing Void Crew, and like I said, I think I've made it to a boss twice, and only beaten it once. So it is a very difficult game. It's nice to see. I can't remember if I talked about on the show before that we hopped in with someone like a random who immediately was like, "Oh, here's how you glitch out the shields so they don't take any power, and here's how you mess this up so you can do this," and like basically broke the game in all these different ways to make us super optimized, and then it was a cakewalk from there. And that just, it's like, no, I want this to be hard. I want to struggle here. That's part of the fun. Yeah, I want it to be balanced. And so the developer has said that they're working on patching some of that stuff. But yeah, I definitely feel like this benefits not just from playing on a crew, but playing with people that you know.
Yeah.
For the communication aspect, and then just like, if everyone on the ship is a power gamer and wants to glitch out the stuff to get plus 5% damage on whatever, fine. Like, go chase your bliss. You're not hurting anyone.
I want to make mistakes with people. Go ahead, Ben.
I was thinking it's hard to make personal attacks with strangers. So yeah, it's good to have like friends there.
Personal attacks as in like you direct one individual to focus their fire, correct?
Well, one of you did fire on me when I was out repairing the hall.
I said, I wonder if you shoot someone who's spacewalking if they get knocked off the ship.
Yeah.
Purely hypothetical. There was no suggestion in my tone. But I was in the captain's chair, so the friend playing with us followed orders.
Shots were fired.
Yeah, nobody died that time.
You didn't want to be like, airlocked for insubordination.
Yeah, exactly.
It's physical and emotional damage.
Yeah. There are some very funny hijinks you can get into with the airlock, because the controls, there are 3 sets of controls for the airlock. One inside the ship, one in the middle of the airlock, and one on the outside of the ship. And all of them are working at all times.
How an airlock works.
Well, yes, okay, fair. But like, so there's also a safety that you can turn off that like you can just like mess around and close the door, or repeatedly open the door so someone can't get in. But if you turn off the safety, you can just straight up flush someone or whatever. So yeah, there's a lot of fun to be had there if you're not taking it too seriously.
Can we reenact that one scene from Event Horizon?
We can get pretty close, I think.
One thing I love about this, that's a detail that I just like because they didn't really have to do it, is the fact that your ship doesn't have gravity in it. You're just wearing like magnetic boots or whatever. So like if you jump, you basically like until you touch down again, you're basically in zero gravity.
Huh.
I know that's the case when the core
like
is
the jumps are super
interesting,
floaty because of that. Like you're basically just disconnecting your boots and like just floating.
Yeah, very cool. So yeah, I've done that. I've done iRacing, continuing on with the Spec Racer Ford series. That's fun. It's at. Does anyone recognize the name Spa for a track this week?
No.
Okay. It is a very famous within the world of racing track. So it's fun to be cruising around that.
I know 3 racetracks. The one near me, Talladega, and then Nürburgring.
Yeah, it's somewhere in there.
Yeah,
The last one's the one that the Swedish chef races at.
no, I think you're thinking of the what Peppy the Rabbit.
Wow.
No. Go ahead.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So racing at Spa feels very cool, and I'm having fun with that. And then just like that plus. Oh, I know. You know how I said I was kind of done with Balatro and had finished everything I wanted to do there.
Yes.
Yeah. Then I just kind of kept on playing Balatro.
Yeah, it'll do that.
Yeah, so I'm deep in that rabbit hole. I'm going through all the challenge decks right now, which is kind of fun because, unlike what the name would imply, not all of the challenge decks are actually like difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them just kind of hand you a win condition that you need to build for.
Yeah,
like, hey, here's a deck with some cracks in it. You get to break this wide open, and that is its own kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
That is pretty fun.
Do you have any favorite examples of that you've played so far?
There's one where every Joker offered to you is eternal, which means that once you buy it, you cannot sell it and you cannot destroy it in any way. Which has just some really interesting synergies with things that are supposed to destroy Jokers. So like there's a card you can get that duplicates one random Joker but then destroys all others. And the only way I've used it before is when I've had only one Joker in my set, however, what you can do there is just kind of blast away because all the other Jokers are going to be fine. So that was fun. I just finished one where once you play a card, it is debuffed, which means it will no longer, it'll be good for like making a hand of a certain kind, but it will not score you any points. And so you kind of have to build around using as few cards as possible to clear the benchmark each time.
Is it permanently debuffed?
Permanently for the entire run, yes.
What's the advantage you get?
The cards all have red seals on them. So it'll trigger twice, but then it's never available again. So I built
exactly
around
twice. Yeah.
Yeah. I built around like turning in high card hands, and then just leaned into having every card like buffed to the max. So the one time it triggered, it was super useful. And then bought a zillion upgrades for high card hands.
Yeah, and I could see that synergizing with something like a stone deck or something like that, and just like cycling out the cards that get debuffed.
Possibly, but here's the thing: stone cards get debuffed too.
Oh no!
So you can cash in on a stone card. Gives you, it doesn't have any rank, it doesn't have any suit, but it does give you extra chips.
But it does have
points.
buff to be D'd away.
Yeah. So it is a special kind of useless once it's used once, because it cannot be used again. But I did have a couple stone cards in my deck just for that final blind, like to be extra sure that I was over the threshold. Yeah. So Balatro, it's fun. Challenges don't always need to be challenging. Sometimes they can just be fun. And I like that about the game.
They already have a way to make stuff challenging. You go up in the blinds or the stakes or whatever, like the decks. Yeah, that's way more interesting than just, I don't know, aim for a bigger number while being able to score less each time. No.
Yeah.
This is something I think Marvel Snap does really well with their different game modes, is where it like re-weights the valuations of each of the individual like cards or jokers in this case, where it's like, Yeah, and it gives you something a lot more to think about. So, it seems like Balatro is doing a really good job with that.
Yes, indeed. Apparently, that is still getting like Balatro, not Marvel Snap, but Balatro is still getting like patched and updated.
Yeah.
Like the guy working on it is making changes still to make the game more balanced, which is very interesting to me. Because I don't know, I came to Slay the Spire after it was done with all that. To be playing a game where it's like, oh yeah, this level of stakes means these are the requirements you're going to hit and build for, and having that suddenly change under you feels really weird.
Yeah.
But it should be changed for the better. This guy seems to know what he's doing.
He certainly has a lot of playtesters now. So
yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's me. A bunch of old stuff, but old stuff with good friends is always a good time.
Nice. Let's see who wants to go next.
I could go.
Okay.
So I don't have a whole lot in general and don't have a whole lot new. But in Fallen London, I spent a lot of the week farming up my archaeologist skills. So basically just had to do a bunch of expeditions into in Fallen London. London is the fifth major world city that has been taken to the gates of the bazaar in the middle of the earth. And so I've been doing archaeological expeditions into the fourth city, which is, I'm piecing together, is implied to be from Mongolia somewhere.
Okay. So like Ulaanbaatar or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, I've been doing that. That ended up with doing a expedition where basically this pair of anarchists hired me to do a expedition to the cave of Nadar or whatever. And so I got there, which was super difficult. However, there's this weird, one of the weird kind of concept things in the game is there's these 5 additional colors that are can't exactly be seen, or maybe they can. They're kind of like the color out of space, and they're all have weird properties. And so this cave is just covered in, I think it's Irigo, which is the color of forgetfulness.
Okay.
So just if you were to walk into the cave, you would just kind of forget why you did that and just kind of walk out.
All right.
And so I need to get the equipment together to protect myself from this color before I can actually do the expedition. Other than that, I had previously been working my way through, ingratiating myself in Queen Victoria's court. However, I then got hired by one of the high-ups in her court to, it's not exactly clear why, but I was hired specifically to make an opera that was so scandalous that I would get exiled.
I thought you were going to say executed.
Well, remember, death doesn't take down here.
Okay.
So yeah, exile is kind of what you do instead. But it was straight up. It wasn't just I want you to make this opera and, oh, by the way, it's going to be super scandalous and you'll probably get exiled. It was straight up hey, we want you to find a way to get yourself exiled. So I did that, and in order, kicked out of court, and in order to get back into court, I infiltrated the Foreign Office, so kind of their spy agency, that sort of thing, and managed to get my self appointed as the governor of Britain's colony that they have on the Carnelian coast. So, the whole thing is kind of a parody of, Britain's colonial adventures in India, except that all of the subjects, all of the native people in this colonial era are literal tigers.
Okay.
Like talking tigers. And so that's weird. So basically, in the colonial power, you have to you're trying to serve out terms as governor without losing the favor of the British government and getting brought home in chains.
Mm-hmm.
But your overall goal is to build up favor with the two factions, which are the Tigers and the representatives of the Khan, basically kind of the emissaries of this like other Asian empire that's a big player down there.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to manage things where it's like, oh, you can repair a ship for the Khan, but then the people of England will be like, hey, why is our tax money going to repair foreign ships?
Mm-hmm.
Or you can, once you build up faction with the Khan, you can then use that to get favorable deals on behalf of the Tigers in order to kind of exchange the faction for that.
Yeah.
And so ultimately, I did several terms of government, and then managed to get the captivating princess to come and extend a state dinner and basically speak on my behalf to unexile me.
Mm-hmm.
Also, she might be a vampire.
Okay.
It's very strange. She also might be a giant worm sometimes, but only sometimes. It's very confusing. I haven't actually worked that part out yet.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's something that sticks out is like that. This feels very similar to 80 Days insofar as like it is a fiction engine that can be used to express multiple different kind of like decision scenarios, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like I bring up the 80 Days comparison because like depending on which route you go, like this is it either turns into like a survival game or a murder mystery, or like very specifically, like if you're taking a tanker across the Pacific, like that turns into like a boxing game. Like you end up needing to use the text engine in order to like win fist fights and stuff. So like
nice.
taking this thing that feels built to be a dialogue based adventure game in a lot of ways and turning that into like a colony management sim seems cool to me.
Yeah, it's yes, exactly. And tone wise, it gets some interesting mileage. The tigers being tigers, a lot of the decisions you're making, you are to, with varying degrees of culpability, just like appeasing them by setting people up to get eaten. Sometimes just straight up, like they come to you and are like, "Hey, we want to eat that dude." Sometimes it's like, "Oh, they're really pissed off. Why don't we have a junior staffer go alone into the jungle to definitely negotiate with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a big difference between I want to eat a person and I want to eat that person.
Right, exactly.
Nice. Yeah. Fall in London.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I have any more questions about it. I just wanted to make that comparison about.
No, that's a very apt comparison.
Yeah. Gosh, and it also reminds me, 80 Days rules.
Yeah.
So
I hadn't thought about that in a long
team
time.
that made that just recently published a new game.
Yeah, it's like another game in the Overboard kind of series. Something like that. Yeah. Overboard, a game I've intended to play and Jala brought to us like a couple of months ago. Something like that.
I think she brought it to us like a long time ago because I feel like that's been on my wish list for like forever.
It's been on my list.
could be wrong.
On my wish list forever, but I think it was like late last year that she did.
Okay.
I can do a search on our website for it.
So the
But
one
I do
I'm,
like
I'm
that-
thinking.
Oh, good.
Oh, I was just going to say the one I'm thinking of that is actually a different one they just published is Expelled, which is kind of a visual novel murder mystery.
Yeah, so it is like in a continuation of Overboard insofar as you need to do something horrible and not get caught doing it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought
yeah.
you meant like okay. I follow.
Jala brought it in the episode Strong Dad and Wedgie Mom in November of 2024.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that they took a part of 80 Days and blew it up to an entire game.
Yeah. Cool. Let's see here, Ben. I think you're the only one remaining.
Yeah, I was looking back and I was surprised that I didn't have too much that I played in the last week, but then I remembered that a new Magic Cube draft came out, and so that's where a lot of my time went.
What
So
makes this a cube?
it's always, yeah, they always call it that. I forget what the etymology of it is. I feel like I've answered this question maybe on the show in the past, but I've forgotten it now. But it's basically like a large collection of like strong cards from like the history of Magic. And there's like some newer ones, but it's only like one or two per, year. And you draft those and build a deck out of them. But it's the difference between that and like a regular like Friday Night Magic of like whatever sets out now is just like the power level of the cards is like there's a lot stronger of synergies and like more swingy things that you can do in decks like that. So yeah, I love it. Big thing is they introduced like fetch lands in this version, which I don't think they had done in previous cubes, and so that makes it that you can fix your mana a lot easier than you could before, and you can kind of like cull out the lands in your deck a lot quicker, so you are consistently drawing like good cards and not flooding out, as they say.
I
Anyway,
figured a fetch land would be a dog park.
But I will not bore people with Magic because I feel like I try to not talk about that since I feel like I've talked about it to death. But instead, I'll talk about the one game that I have continued playing that I've already talked about, which is LoneStar, which is now makes I think 4 science fiction space games that we're talking about on the podcast. I guess.
Kinda, yeah.
Everybody's got it.
I need to switch to playing Sunless Skies.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's continued to be good. I think I've talked about in the past, this is like the space, it's kind of like a baby between Slay the Spire and FTL, where it's like a roguelike. You unlock more and more characters and ships as the game goes on, or as you beat it, you kind of have like a meta progression. But the turn-to-turn combat it's you fighting another ship, much like FTL. But instead of being in like a real-time strategy, it's more you generate pools of die that can go from 1 to 9, and you put them in weapon or support units that are on your 3x3 grid of a ship. And each of those units have some sort of function that it does. It could improve the die, it could do an attack, it could have rules for doing a very powerful attack if you can put the right combination of numbers and colors in them. Anyway, kind of how I've felt about it over the past week is I've kind of like congealed kind of my rankings of like what's powerful to do and what you can kind of avoid, and that's kind of gotten more and more affirmed, but it's not completely permanent yet. And I have been like pretty happy or satisfied with. I haven't really had the exact same run twice, or at least 3 times. There might be like a couple where I've done similar things. But there is like a pretty good differentiation of paths to victory. I think the only mechanic I'll like poo-poo a little bit on is there's one mechanic called I think it's tripwire, where it's like if you put 3 die in a single unit, something happens. And a unit will have a capacity, so it might only take 1 die per turn or 2. So it might take several turns before you can activate something like this. But there are meta strategies around it where it's like you can get like artifacts. I guess is this thing that's like in Slade Spire and in this, where it's like kind of like general rules that are applied to your run. You can get artifacts that will trigger off of tripwires and do things with that. That's the only one that seems like maybe slightly weaker than the others, or you have to have like a really specific sort of build to make it work. But yeah, I'm still having fun with it and really enjoying it. I do like the fact that you keep unlocking new pilots, and they'll have basically kind of a weak asymmetric rule to them. It's not something that's like so buff that it dramatically changes your gameplay, but it does kind of like nudge you in a direction.
Yeah, different NPCs.
Yeah. So I have been happy with that, where I'm not picking the same pilot over and over again. Like I'm trying a different one each run. The other thing I'll say about this is this game comes out into 1.0, I think tomorrow at the time of recording, but it'll already be out by the time anyone's listening to this. And so they're adding a 3rd ship option, which I don't think they've explained what the rule of it is, so I definitely want to check that out. And then they're basically releasing like more content, is what they said in their patch notes. So it's like more random encounters, more pilots, more weapons, that sort of thing. And it seems like it's increasing it by a decent amount, like something on the order of like 1/3 to 50% more of what's already there. So I'm definitely going to be on the lookout for that, see if that changes up like the meta at all. And so I'm still enjoying my time with it. Run to run, I'm still enjoying, and while still cautiously trying to think of like what the meta is and if anything's too repeatable. I guess the other thing I should mention too is like there's difficulty levels 0 to something. I haven't seen how high it goes. And so I've typically been going on like the easiest difficulties, so I might start bumping that up as well to make the runs like a little bit more interesting, because I would say that like the win rate is probably like maybe 3 out of 4 times. It's pretty high right now, so
you need like the systems need just a little bit more pressure on them, it sounds like.
Well, I think the default difficulty is 1, and I bumped it down to 0 like at the beginning, so there could be I could be having like a artificially easy experience as well. So, but yeah, so I think I'll do that before like feeling bored with the game or saying it's too easy or something like that. So, but yeah, otherwise, I'm pretty positive on that game still. So I'll keep checking out in the following weeks. But that's about it. I have a pretty light week, despite having 3 games still from Steam sale that I need to start eventually getting to.
Yeah, this one got under your skin. It's fine.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I don't know that I have any more questions about it that I didn't ask last time. It sounds very complicated. And when I look at it, all that I see is like dice Gwent. But I know that's not what it is.
That's fair. I think I felt similarly when I first played like Slay the Spire, where it's like, oh, this is a lot of like subtraction and like from, like my block and their attack. Like, okay, this is kind of weird, but yeah. I think definitely, when you play it, you kind of get used to it pretty quickly, but
yeah,
cool.
So LoneStar.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and you answer it. Dennis, what is the question that you asked the nice people?
Yeah, this one's for the anthropology buffs out there. What fictional culture from a video game do you find the most intriguing, and why?
Yeah, and let's get started here with, this is Ruki, right?
Correct.
Yes. There's no way to say why they're intriguing without spoiling the entire thing, but the culture featured in the DLC for The Outer Wilds is creepy and scary while still managing to evoke pathos in the player. The base game's precursor culture was similarly great to learn about. Hopefully, in another decade or so, I'll have forgotten enough details to be able to replay the game properly.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
I like that approach.
Yeah, we have an episode about the Outer Wilds DLC coming up later this year on WAF, and
nice.
I'm excited because I never played that, and I thought that the Outer Wilds was delightful. Yeah. So I can't like give any additional context on this. Find a way to describe it, without being spoilery. So, let's see, Moxie. What does Thrensa say?
Thrensa says, Mr. Saturn, what evolutionary traits led to their unique physiology? How did their language evolve? How do they get the bow in their hair?
They clarify.
Also,
this is from
yeah,
Earthbound.
go on. Yep.
Yeah. Their language. How can they speak in a different font? Yeah, I think that it might be canon that the bow in their hair just looks like a bow. It's just like a feature of their biology.
Wait, so it's like this Star Trek, like, oh, we're not speaking English. We're just speaking a language that happens to be identical to English.
I only know that joke from Futurama, but yes. Yeah, Mr. Saturn could work. And then, Ben, what does Callum say?
Callum says, this feels like cheating, as fictional anthropology was the point of Horizon Zero Dawn. The ancient past / our future you can discover through the course of the game is one of the only times I can remember being driven to read all the incidental dialogue and records to find out more.
They did too good of a job at that because everything about the past was so much more interesting than the like warlord shit that was happening in the present.
Yeah. I remember just realizing something like, oh, I've been in this menu reading lore for probably a half hour now.
Why the fuck am I reading paragraphs about a coffee cup? Yeah. No, it is them talking about our culture or whatever, but it's always interesting to see the, basically the writing exercise of, describe a toothbrush like you're a Martian who's just come to Earth, writing exercise, writ large. Yeah. Dennis, since you came up with the question, what's yours?
Yeah. So I used an image from Mass Effect. And I thought the idea of the Krogans, I feel like there's kind of several variants of that throughout fiction, but just like the extremely warlike culture to the nth degree. But then just all the impacts that happen on them with the genophage and stuff like that. It's kind of interesting to see the psychology that results in.
Yeah. And the way that it caused their living conditions to like rapidly change. For people who are unaware, the Krogan are these like lizard men kind of warrior people who got too expansionist, and so like the Galactic Council came up with a pathogen that made it so they couldn't reproduce, but made it incredibly unlikely for them to reproduce. And in order to curtail their numbers, to do genocide, eugenics on them, and it kind of led to the collapse of their entire civilization. Yeah,
which it's such a weird kind of take of like, well, you got genocided, but also you were kind of going to do that to everyone else. Now what?
That's where the Mass Effect politics get weird.
Yeah.
Well, if I recall correctly, there's also like a weird thing of just like, as the original plan was to then like reverse it when they are done, but then once the problem's solved, there's like
there was no political will to do it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was something like it was like even more effective than they thought it was going to be or something.
Yeah.
But don't don't infect populations to try to control them.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right, Moxie. I think that is a beat with Morden. Maybe in the third game. I don't know. Yeah, I'll go. I'm going to say, and this is super predictable for me, but I'll say it anyway. The Denis from the Mist series.
Okay.
This is the group of people, look basically like humans, but they have perfected the art of writing books that will link to other ages, like other, basically places. The idea being like, I can write in this special language with these special materials and describe a world that, because of the way the universe, is infinite, like does exist somewhere. It just links to like what I happen to have perfectly described. And what
they just happen to all speak English.
No, they don't. Very specifically, they don't. That's a huge part of like a lot of the Mist puzzles end up being like language decoding puzzles because of that. But just like, I find it, like super fascinating because like if when you read the books, and especially as you go further into the series with Atris's shitty sons, you just like what that kind of godlike power, the kind of monsters that can spawn when you have a group of people and a faction among them who is convinced that they are gods who have created these people and feel no right to do anything other than exploit them. So it's real interesting. I like that an awful lot, and just that story being told over decades. Even and across these much better than you would think YA books. The Denis.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I just now made the connection between that and Arrival. If you guys have watched that, just the idea of language literally shaping reality.
Yeah,
is very interesting.
It's a potent idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see, Moxie. How about you?
So I think if we're just going for like the actual like which game have I played and been really compelled by learning about it, it would definitely be Bloodborne. Just in general, it's a super interesting. What are the various factions up to, that sort of thing. More generally, like one of the things I'm really into is the idea of like how would cultures deal with finding scenarios where there's things that can make their lives much better, but they come with body horror and things that are taboo but not necessarily rationally bad. And Bloodborne kind of plays with that, with like the blood ministration, stuff like that.
Yeah. No.
If I was going for just like what would I love to see more explored, the two big ones would be the war that apparently happened in the history of Pokemon, and like only one guy ever talks about it.
Just a throwaway line.
It's Lieutenant Surge, the electric. Yeah.
He was the only survivor, I guess.
Maybe. And then the other one is more of a concept. There's all these like like RPGs, and especially the Soulsborne games do it, where like you'll talk to some NPC and whatever, and then they'll be like, all right, see you later, and then like a while later you'll just like find them somewhere else where you had to fight past all these monsters and shit. And so I love the concept of how would regular people get shit done in like a Diablo or something like that, because the shopkeepers have to be getting their stock from somewhere. And I kind of like the idea that the only reason like you're facing so much danger is because it's literally your job to do so. Whereas, like, if you're an average person, you could just kind of take some extra time on the road and bypass all the problems.
Yeah.
So, that's me.
That's you. And Ben, how about you?
Yeah, I don't know if these answers are a fit or not. I had two things in mind, but I was trying to think of it as like anytime you learn more about like people or a world and it's like messed up, but it's very specific and realistic, but it also doesn't make sense like at the same time. So it's kind of like surrealism almost. I was thinking of like Disco Elysium and Inside as examples of this, where it's like there's so many touch points that are the same thing as reality, like unions or like scientists and stuff like that, but everything's just twisted. It's like a funhouse mirror where it's like, but it's not reality at all. Things are very different here. But yeah.
I mean, especially when you get into oh God, what's the name of the like the breakdown in reality in Disco Elysium? Fuck, it's like the white or the something or other. Yeah.
Is it where the billionaire's hiding, or is it somewhere besides that?
No, it's it like all of the places that are inhabitable by humans are technically these bubbles in a great sea of entropy, and crossing between them, basically between what the continents in the world, like requires special vessels, and even doing that causes your life to shorten and causes you to lose your mind a little bit. Yeah, the pale is what it's called. Yeah. There's more. There's a ton more stuff about the Disco Elysium world in Robert Kurvitz's novel that he wrote well before Disco Elysium came out, the terrible and sacred air, which I don't think has an official translation, but I got a fan translation of it, and it's pretty good. Oh. Yeah, I got the fan translation before it was pulled down, so yay me. Yeah. Nice. Well, thank you folks for participating. I suddenly got self-conscious. We got everybody, right? Normally I end with Dennis because Dennis is the one who posted.
Yes.
Okay. We got everybody. All right.
Change up the order on me here.
Yeah. Thank you so much for participating. If you would like to join in on these in the future, go to the Blue Sky and follow the Level Podcast, the levelpodcast.bsky.social or whatever it is. Yeah. And thank you, Dennis, for posting.
Yes, indeed.
The end boss.
Now it is time for the end boss, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games around us that are not the Nintendo Switch 2 details because of the way time works. Let's see, Ben, what have you brought us?
Yeah, the article I'm bringing we're fulfilling the same purpose that the article is basically a reminder that The Last of Us Season 2 comes out in a few weeks, which I had forgotten about until I read this. But the headline of the article is some quotes from Craig Mason, I believe is one of the showrunners of it, where they had asked him how many seasons he thought the show would be and kind of what the plans were for it. And I guess two details that were kind of interesting from it is he said that he felt like the show would be wrapped up in 3 or 4 seasons, which was somewhat notable because I feel like the number of seasons has just grown over time, where it's like, oh, we're going to do it in 2. Oh, we're going to take 2 seasons for season 2. Oh, now it might be 4, so it's like, it's kind of slowly, what is it, like foot in the door sort of thing, where it's like, we'll see how long it takes. But he was adamant about saying that they weren't going to tell any stories that weren't in the game proper. Like that was the story that they're trying to translate.
That is unfortunate.
Oh, well, I guess it depends on how you enjoy the games, I guess. Yeah. But I mean, well, I guess that comes with an acknowledgement too that like they're willing to elaborate on things within the game, like kind of like the episode 3 in season 1. But I think they kind of meant that in the way of like, there's not going to be a spin-off show of what happens to Uncle, I forget his name, all this time while, you're not following him.
That's
So,
I think Fallout was proof that quote unquote spin-off stories can be a really good idea. Just stories that kind of are independent or live on their own within the world.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think the world of The Last of Us is rich enough that it could support that. So I'm like, I want him to do a good job of telling the main story. But yeah, it kind of surprises me that he's swearing off exploring that world further.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm okay with that decision because like how they did season 1, I thought was like very respectful of the source material, and like I can understand the apprehension of like there's a lot more risk if like say you did 3 or 4 new episodes in season 1 that's like explore like a different storyline, and say it's like the Fireflies or something like that. Like there's just kind of an inherent risk there where it like could delude the strength of the main story, and it seems like they do a balanced job of like they'll have new scenes that elaborate like the birth of Ellie, like being an example in season 1 is something that was nowhere in the game, but they felt strong. They felt comfortable adding those types of details, but it's still like revolving around the core story of the game.
Yeah.
So I'm not turned off by that, but yeah, I could understand like if you want more content and more of this, then that could be a bummer. So
The thing,
for me, just the ending of The Last of Us, I would say was just a complete mistake and like destroyed any interest I have in the franchise.
Wait, the first one or the second one?
First one.
oh
yeah,
That's an opinion.
yeah, yeah. I just, I don't know how to elaborate on that. It's just a statement of preference. Yeah, it's not like it's a preference. I can't argue with that. But also,
Is it because you feel like the choice is way too obvious for you on one side or the other?
It's the fact that there wasn't a choice.
I see.
we could go
press,
into it, but
press X to forgive Joel.
yeah. I don't know. When I hear like, oh, we don't know how many seasons this could be, what makes me kind of a little bit hesitant about that, like I don't know the story of The Last of Us Part 2 because I haven't played it. Maybe that'll change with the upcoming PC release of it. But when I hear we don't know how many seasons there are going to be, what I hear is like, I don't know what story you want to do. Let's just milk it as long as they keep on giving us renewals,
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's the truth, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, they're making a live action remake of a video game. It was always that.
Yeah. I don't know. But that live action remake also gave us the Bill story, which was one of the most heartfelt things I've seen in media. So like, I don't know. It's hard to it's hard to call it a complete exercise in cynicism.
I wonder if they're only going from like video game source material if they would ever touch the Left Behind DLC.
That's
Is that
present
the
in
one
season
where the
1.
rapture happened?
Oh, is it?
No.
To the first part.
There's a flashback episode to how Ellie gets infected in season 1.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sorry,
okay.
no, I was referencing. Were the Left Behind books not big in the like?
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
the Kirk Cameron movie that then became a Nicolas Cage movie. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is funny, the statement of like, okay, enough time has passed. We can use the subtitle there.
Yeah.
But interesting. Yeah, the series has not come to a platform I can watch it on yet.
Oh, okay.
So haven't seen it yet. But okay, cool.
Let's see. Dennis, we've got some speculation. Actually, no. Like this is an actual thing. Tell me about.
Oh no, this is an
actual thing. What's Nintendo doing with apps? With apps now?
This is an actual thing that I had to read very carefully to make sure it wasn't an April Fool's thing.
Yeah.
Nintendo has had an amazing idea. What if you could put an app on your phone that told you what day it was?
This
feels amazing, right?
It feels a little bit like Nintendo saying, what if there was an app where you could listen to Nintendo music on a device? But what if that device was only the Switch? And let's pretend YouTube doesn't exist.
It is, it's the real question is, what if we didn't have to pay any intermediaries? What if we are big enough?
Good news, Nintendo already pretends YouTube doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Their lawyers
this is an app called Nintendo Today. And you install it on your phone, and it'll tell you what day it is and give you a little bit of cute like art. Like Luigi will smile at you, and then it's March 27th, and that's fun, I guess. But it is also a pipeline to send Nintendo announcements, pressers, directly into your face. No intermediaries of A, social media, or B, news outlets. They'll tell you what they want in the way they want. I guess the carrot for downloading it now is there's a countdown to Nintendo Direct.
Okay.
Just in case you were really not sure what time it was, you can have the app tell you. But yeah, the audacity of this is incredible. It's Nintendo basically saying like, hey, can you have an app exclusively for us pushing notifications to you? And how little value can we add while getting you to agree to this?
I guess it has in-game events for some for some of their online games.
Right. So it does tell you I think it said there were 12 games.
Yeah.
So like half the games on Switch that are supported.
Yeah.
I guess games that have in-game events implies Nintendo is into the whole live service thing in a way that they just aren't.
Yeah. I'm trying to find a meaner way to say inessential.
Yeah. Yeah. Just someone's vanity project.
Yeah.
I mean, some agency, assuming this wasn't developed in-house, some marketing agency found the golden goose, because now they got to maintain this app ongoing.
Right.
Until they inevitably decide it's not worth it and they drop it.
God, it's a real shame. Like if that Nintendo alarm clock wasn't like $100, that would be a real fun thing to have on a shelf. But now that I know it's $100, it's like, well, fuck you, I guess.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Again, Nintendo having the idea for a device that would wake you up at the appropriate time during the day.
Yeah.
You are several decades late, my friend.
I did make an oopsie. I said that the Nintendo Music app was only on the Switch. Apparently there's a phone app for it, but also again, I listen to so much video game music and I do it all on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've got to respect Nintendo for taking so many of these shots where, every once in a while, one is going to blow up like the Wii did, like the Switch, where it's like, okay, no one was asking for this, but it's exactly what everyone wanted. And I feel like the Nintendo Today app is kind of the price of getting things like the Wii or the Switch, where, several of these need to be things that truly are useless and nobody wants, to get to the one that is like, oh my God, actually a global phenomenon.
Something that is like Nintendo in microcosm is the vast gulf in popularity or success, let's say, between the Wii and the Wii U, right?
Yep.
Because basically identical names for two incredibly different things make it clear that Nintendo kind of doesn't know the difference between what makes one and what makes one the other.
Yeah.
And in a way, like they're so consistent about a lot of stuff that really does matter, but then they do something like this that is like, what are you even saying? Like, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, a year from now, when we all have the Nintendo Today app installed, so we can get the whatever new Mario game, I will eat my hat. But
don't make that promise
for now. Yeah, for now, or I will eat my words. How about that?
Okay.
For now, I will scoff
Yeah.
at Nintendo being very Nintendo.
Yeah.
This just feels like an idea that one person came up with and everyone was too polite to be like, hey, that's not a good idea.
Yes. Hey, that exists and has for
Yeah.
decades.
It comes with your phone, actually. I just did a search. Apparently there's like no Kirby alarm clock, which is just a fucking disaster. He's round, everybody.
It's right there.
Oh my God.
See, the one I want is one of the like unreasonably large Pokemon stuffed animals.
Oh, those Squishmallows or whatever.
Yeah.
Or no, are you talking about like a life-size Snorlax?
Yeah, life-size Snorlax, life-size. I kind of want the Gengar, like sleep mat.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one?
I've not seen it, but I can picture it. Yeah, the one of
Yeah,
those.
it's literally you're just sleeping on his tongue.
Oh no.
Yeah, like your head is in the mouth to like keep out the light.
That is real. Oh, and here's somebody sleeping kind of like wrapped up in the tongue. That's very cute. Yeah.
Fuck. I Googled Pokemon waifu pillow and got the results that I probably should have expected I was going to get.
Dennis, don't ask questions that you don't want to know the answer to.
I know.
I was wrong. Somebody there are some Kirby alarm clocks that are actually quite cute, but they're on eBay and they're over $100. So fuck you for wanting.
Eats your dreams.
He is from Dreamland. It's a perfect fit. Oh, here's one where he's eating a bunch of ramen. Like the ramen bowl is the clock, and then Kirby's. Yeah, I need to stop looking at this because I'm going to make an ill-advised purchase. I've got a follow-up on a story. A long time ago, we did a story about a Stardew Valley mod that added Baldur's Gate 3 characters, added Astarion and Shadowheart in as romanceable characters. And seemed pretty cool. Maybe not entirely to my taste. Who do I need besides Leah if I'm looking to romance somebody in Stardew Valley? But regardless, seems neat. Even got the blessing from Sven Vinke, the head of Larian Studios. However, Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast did not like it very much. And in fact, I should have
or rather the algorithm that they programmed to ruin anything that has joy on the internet.
Yes.
Didn't like it.
Yeah. Because they issued a cease and desist on Nexus mods. However, it looks like between the time when I pulled up this story and when I'm recording about this, I guess it's back up now. Because Sven Vinke kind of advocated for it. Who knows if it's going to stay up? Yeah, I don't know.
Get it now while you can.
I guess get it now if you can. I hope it stays up because eventually they're gonna have to do Karlach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Can Karlach and Leah both be my wife? That might not be legal. Oh well.
I was gonna say depends on what state you're in.
I guess
Love finds a way.
It does. Yeah. Yeah. So who knows? Basically, but yeah, that sounds like Hasbro. That sounds like them.
Mm-hmm.
Oof. Let's see. And Ben. Oh no, you
I'm
already
not doing
you
another
already
story.
did. No, you already did yours. Dennis did his.
So I've got a late one that's almost a news story.
Almost okay.
Just in the protests currently going on in Turkey, someone snapped a picture of one of the protesters in a full body Pikachu mascot costume. Just running around.
It is so good.
Well, what's amazing about it is, oh my god, this is amazing. So he's backlit. He's backlit by like a police APC. There's a line of policemen in front of him. Pikachu is is like mid stride of running, and also like there are two like fire trucks blasting jets of water like crisscrossing like above him. Above Pikachu, like kind of like perfectly framing him. This is art. I hope this one's a Pulitzer.
This has energy of the like special forces stacked up on a corner, and there's just a clown in the.
This matches the rationality of the times we live in.
Yeah, I adore it. Oh my God. Yeah, thank you for bringing this to our attention, Moxie.
The services I provide.
I just love that he's running toward the camera, like through a police line. Oh gosh! And a water attack.
What do you
is
want
not
me
what
to
you
do?
want
He
to
cast
use.
quick attack.
Yeah.
Oh gosh! How does everybody feel about buttoning it up?
Let's button this bad boy.
All right. Thank you so much for listening to level number 538. We really appreciate you taking the time. You know what to do to help us out. Leave ratings or reviews, tell your friends, support the network on Patreon. It's all good, frankly. Let me see. Also, by way of announcement, if you are listening to this on the day that it's coming out, Gary and I will be in Milwaukee for the Midwest Gaming Classic. There is a slight schedule change. Previously, we were scheduled to give our panel at 7 o'clock on Saturday night. We are now giving our panel talk at 6 o'clock on Saturday night. So adjust your calendars. That'll be better because it gives more time for the meetup. And also, I don't know. It's earlier. I think it's good when things happen earlier within reason. So,
The credit.
is there anything I'm forgetting?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I've been Kole Ross. You can find me on Blue Sky at Kole Ross.
I've been Dennis Furia. You can find me on Blue Sky at Furia Games.
I've been Moxie. You can find me doing a protest.
And I've been Ben Merkel.
And stick around for some titles.
Easter egg.
I have one. I have tigers being tigers.
Pretty good.
Okay.
I have one written down, but I need to figure out where I put it.
But-
1 sec. Okay, I have desiccated, dried out dudes.
I had decrepit dudes.
Okay.
You got to listen back and hear what it actually was.
Oh, I'm writing this in the wrong place. Desiccated, dried out dudes. I did say desiccated, dried out dudes. Or no, maybe it might have been
desiccated, decrepit dudes.
Yeah, I think it might have been desiccated, decrepit dudes. Let's say.
Either way, highly alliterative.
Mhm.
Desiccated, decrepit. Okay. Ben, you got anything?
I'm going on my vindication tour, and I'm saying one that I said that nobody laughed at, and it is, it's not a void crew, in response to people saying it was good to team up with one another.
Okay.
Like avoid AVU. I do.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Okay, I didn't. Yes.
Tip your
Joke
waitress.
that works written but not spoken.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't laugh because I was confused.
I didn't laugh because I did not like it.
Because I was disappointed. No.
Oh, gosh. And Dennis.
Actually, that was my one. I just had decrepit dudes.
Uh-huh.
But desiccated decrepit dudes would be good as well.
Yeah, desiccated, decrepit dudes, I think works.
Yeah.
Cool. It is decided.